Hello, and welcome to the first video for my tutorial. This video I'll be discussing the basics of strings in a mock orchestration. Strings are very important for creating not only atmosphere, but also if you're looking for that epic Hollywood sound. I will be discussing what instruments are in the string libraries, the positioning that I prefer to use my strings in, as well as various expressions that sample libraries offer. If we go ahead and take a look at Native Instruments String Ensemble from the Symphony series, already it looks like there's a whole lot going on. We have a dynamic knob, we have some expressions down here, some attack, release, a bit of brightness. Over here at the bottom left, we can look at the different articulations that are available. So we have sustain, sordino, sus vibrato, some tremolo, staccato, spizzicato, and pizzicato. And with each one of these settings, there's a variety of different expressions that you are allowed to experiment with. For example, on the staccato menu, I can go ahead and set it to repetition, and what this does is it allows you to add specific accents on the notes that are being played in a 1/8 time or 1/16, as well as 1/8 triplets. So if I go ahead and show you an example, without the accents, it'll sound something like this. It sounds nice, it's pretty plain, but let me go ahead and add some strong accents onto 1 and 3, and we can immediately go ahead and hear a difference. And another thing that is really neat about the string ensemble from the Symphony series by Native Instruments is its auto Davidsi setting, which if we look at the all the way bottom right, you can see that it says 60 players. That means if I hold one note, let me go ahead and change it to a long note. It says full ensemble 60 players. And if I hold one note, that means a total of 60 voices are being played with the one given note. So if I go ahead and play the C, there are 60 voices happening. But if I go ahead and play two notes, they're going to split it between 30-30. And what this does is it allows you to make sure you don't overcrowd your mix, which is, for me at least, very important when I'm playing a violin section and I want, very wide strings, get those wide chords going. So if I go ahead and play a C major without the root, so without the 1, it'll sound something about. Now, this is something a little easier to see and hear when we solo. If we just have the violin section, so this is excluding the entire ensemble, it's just violins, I have the auto Davidsi setting enabled. And what this does is, as I said, 30 players for one note. And as you can see with the middle knob, that's fluctuating with the modulation wheel, so you can add more expression, nice and soft, into something a little more loud. So one note, 30 players. Two notes will go ahead and be 16-14, and as you can hear, you can kind of hear two sections being played. If I go ahead and play 3 notes. And right there, you might have heard that a little bit of a glide. And now what this is the legato setting. And what's really nice about this is if you're trying to play a melodic lead, for example, the Schindler's List theme, Let me go ahead and play it a little higher. Right there, from the D to the B flat, it's really nice to have that slide. It adds a lot more expression and feeling into it. If you play everything with, where it's, it's dry, it's flat, there's no expression, it sounds boring. At times it could work, and it all depends on your project. But playing things like this live, utilizing what the libraries have to offer, really allows you to add more, depth to, your strings. And the way this works is, if you look at the two little arrows, that is adjusted by velocity, which is how hard you press the keys on your keyboard. So if I go ahead and play it very softly, notice how the strings still sound loud. Let me go ahead and turn that down, which is the expression from the mod wheel. You can see wherever the arrows are within the threshold is where you'll hear the portamento. Now if I go ahead and play it aggressively, you don't hear the glide anymore. So that's also a very nice setting, and you can also adjust how fast and slow you wish the glide to be. What's also helpful is microphone positionings. These allow you to adjust how large do you want the sound, or how close do you want the strings to be on the stage. And this is useful for figuring out what do you want the center to be. So what in your song, in your piece, do you want to be the main focus? And so this is helpful to create a nice balance for that. And what's also important is having the option to choose and adjust multiple positions and sections of the violins. In an actual orchestra, you don't have just violins. It's violin 1, violin 2, same go with viola, you have cellos, you have all these sections. And each section, at least on virtual libraries, has a slightly different sound. So this is something nice to experiment with as well. Now, you may be wondering, legato is nice and all, but what can I use to get that really hard sound, something aggressive? And what I personally like to use is Albion 3 by Spitfire. And what's very nice about this is not only do you have access to microphone positions, but you also have access to a dynamics and expression, which you can utilize by your mod wheel. And because they layer the strings onto one note, it's easier to manage. And what I mean by layering is, if we go ahead and look at the string ensemble again, let me go ahead and make this the main. You can see all these different colors, right? The red will stand for this program at least. The lowest are double basses, then cellos, violas, and of course violins. And for string low, what they do is they layer the lowest strings. So cello and double bass. If I play an F, I'm essentially playing an octave on Albion. I can go ahead and show you. And this is very nice. A lot of virtual libraries are usually made for a specific sound. And this is why I like the Albion series and why I use it often, because Albion 1 is the generic, here are some strings, let me go ahead and play some legato sections. Albion 2 is for that whispery, soft string sound, as well as some woodwinds, and Albion 3 has that really aggressive sound with both strings and brass. And this is something I personally use. If you guys have any questions, you can go ahead and leave a comment. I can make a follow-up video. Just, whatever works for you guys. Next, I would like to talk about the positioning. You know, I have all these libraries, I have all these strings, but how do I make it feel realistic? And that's the whole idea behind this, right? So, what I personally like to do is imagine you have your orchestra. Here's a solid example of what I'm talking about. For the positioning of a string orchestra, well, a string ensemble, I like to do it exactly how it is in a normal orchestra. For example, violin 1 and 2 will be positioned to the left, so you can, on when you pan, you adjust the panning a little more to the left. Cellos I like to have at the right, as well as double basses. Sometimes I have to double bass over to the left to kind of create a balance. And violas are generally smack in the middle, the center stage, so to speak. But this is just a rule that you could follow. It's something I like to follow, but I also adjust the positions of the instrument depending on the song and sound I am trying to get at that given time. If you all have further questions, go ahead and let me know. I will make follow-up videos discussing more in-depth mix tips for strings, such as EQing different libraries to make more of a balance, showing what you can do with your strings to make it a lot more larger. And so tune in for that. If you have any questions, let me know. Leave a comment down below, and I'll hope to see you all later. Okay, bye.